Okay, just going to pick up from the beginning of the mitzvah, since there was a break of 2 weeks. Mitzvah Sheish Ushloshim Mosayim, 236. He shetzivonu, and that is an important point. He shetzivonu is a yishranu in the Judeo-Arabic text, which means that it's the mitzvah is a din, and that's he shetzivanu bedin chovel b'chaver. So let's just read a little bit and let's get into it again on introduction again. We'll move ahead. So bedin chovel b'chaver. So again, the whole chiyuv chovel is only b'chaver. It's only another Jew. Okay, din chovel b'chaver. Wama yisale b'chiyuv manoshim. Even if from the word anoshim would know anything, v'hika ish es re'ehu. Okay, re'ehu b'torah mitzvah, I assume. V'zu he shetikra dine knossos, which is a very strange thing. That makes a big deal about dine knossos over here, and Mitzvah will talk about it. Okay. Ukvar bo hakosuv shu koilel dine knossos kula, means everything. And I assume it means all the chamisha dvarim. We'll see. Okay. V'ama yisale kashe osa ke yoseloi. Loitz bezeh sheyilkach mimamoinoi tmuas mashetziroi itzar lefi shir tzaroi lechaveroi kmo shebo bo akabola. And also, so I guess boishes also, okay, and I assume that he says sar and sar vafilu boishes, but I assume. See, if you go back at the beginning, anoshim v'hikol ish esre'ehu, that's shevis and ripui. So I assume that nezek is assumed under kasher osa ken yoseloi, and then he adds that it also includes sar, and even boishes. Inehu yitnas b'umoinoi k'fi ashirahu. Okay, that l'cheira is the simple pshat. So the two psukim, the pasuk of Chirivun is talking about boishes and ripui. And kasher also keyosalo, I assume, is talking about nezek, certainly, I would assume, and sar and boishes. Okay, now that is what we have. Let's go again. This mitzvah is a shrana, is a din. And the din is the tashlum and how much you have to pay. That you have to pay, or that you have to pay for ripui and sheves and nezek sar and boishes. Okay. The Rambam does a strange thing here, and usually. I'm not sure if it's going on. Usually, when he says Zua mitzvah nikra or something, I assume it's the way the Talmud refers to it. So if you want to pick up on the dinim, you'll know when the Talmud uses this phrase. It's a word for this mitzvah. And he's calling the mitzvah dinei knossos. But a priori, you would have assumed that you're including all dinei knossos, which you could have imagined such a thing, but then you would have assumed tashlumei kefo and dalar v'hei. But that's not the case, because the Ram has a separate mitzvah, reish lametes, which includes tashlumei kefo and dalar v'hei. So l'chayra, the word knossos kulam is all the types of tashlumim that are the machaver chavera. There are 5 types of tashlumei chabol, and that's nezek, tsar, ripui boishes, and sheves. And l'chera, the conclusion from all this, the Ram is calling all the 5 types of tashlumei chabola as knas. And even ripui and sheves, which is learned from b'chirivun anoshim v'hika ish esreyu, which is the source of this mitzvah. That's what he's quoting. And then he quotes another pasuk. So the Rambam, it's not only the Rambam that calls this mitzvah dinei knossos, but you also find it in the Chayra. He's walking in the footsteps of the Rambam in the Sefer Chinuch in Mitzvah Memtes. The problem is that in Mishnah Torah, the Rambam is pretty clear. They're only nezek and tsar are knas, but sheves, ripui, and boishes are momon. Rambam in Hilchos Chovel Umazik, Perek Halocha Zayin. So a priori, we have a stira between the Rambam here and that all 5 types of tashlumei chabola are called knas, and the Rambam Mishnah Torah is only nezek and tsar are called knas. And we have to explain what's going on. Is there a stira, not a stira? We always, a person who learns and always knows that that one of the hallmark of knas is moide b'knas is potter. The discussion of moide b'knas, and Ram talks about in Mishnah Torah, but here in Minyan HaMitzvos and the Sefer Chinuch, there's no discussion of moide b'knas. So, the conclusion from all this and the simple way to interpret things is that there are basically 2 definitions of knas. One definition of knas for the din of moide b'knas, and there's another definition of knas that you require mumchin or smuchim. And the discussion over here in Minyan HaMitzvos is a discussion about mumchin and smuchim. And that is the next thing which I haven't read yet. V'da shedine knossos elu kulom. And then he adds more Niske Adam B'Adam, Niske Behema is Adam. We'll see exactly what it is. Hine lo yadunu behem v'yiknesu zulas bezdin hasmuchim be'eretz Yisrael. To require smicha. So there's one din of knas that we say moed b'knas is potter. There's another din of knas that requires smicha. The whole discussion of the Rambam here in Minyan and Mitzvahs is only about smicha. So then you could assume what the Rambam say is that all of the 5 suge types of tashlumi chabola are knas in as much as they require mumchen or smuchen. However, moide b'knas that's potter might be limited to tsar and nezik. And then there's no stira. The Rambam and the Chinuch over here bring only the issue of smuchim, and in Mishnah Torah, when he talks about the peculiar din of tsar and nezek, there he's ready to say there's a din of moed b'knas pot. So I think that makes it very simple and palatable. The Ram Pirush Mishnayis is like here, as he is here at Sefer Mitzvos, that all the 5 Dvorim, these 5 types of Tashlumin, of payment for Chabola, are only in Eretz Yisrael, because there's no smicha in Chutz La'aretz. Ram Pirush Mishnayis, Pereches Mishnah Aleph, in Baba Kamo, B'chovel B'chaveiroi, Oim Din Kol Ma, Shuhu Chayiv, Sheves U'boishes U'rit B'sar, U'knas, V'kolon HaKol, V'goyven Min HaChovel, V'pam Achas, V'yifto, Im Hoya Hadin B'Eretz Yisrael, V'im Hoya Chutz La'aretz, Menad Nachoyvel, because he cannot. You have a show or you do something because you really can't be goiva. You can't be goiva knas and chutz la'aretz because there's no smuchim. And the Rambam is mufurish in Mishnah Torah that there is a definition of knas that requires smuchim. The Rambam in Hilchos Sanhedrin, in Perkei Aloches, when he's talking about all Tashlumei Chabola, including Sheves, Ripui, and Boishes, which the Ram claims is not a knas when it comes to Moed b'knas. However, when it comes to Smuchin, he includes them all under one category, and that L'chor would support this whole discussion. The Ram in Hilchos Sanhedrin, Perek Hey Halacha Dine Knossos Higain Gizelus Chabolos Tashlumi Kefil V'Dala V'Hei V'Oinis Mafata K'Yetz B'Hen Ein Don Noisem Ela Shloisha Mumchin V'Heim HaSmuchim B'Eretz Yisrael. L'chera, and this is a separate note. This is an aside, but I think it's an important note. This lashon in Mishnah Torah, dine knossos kegoin gzelos chabolos, is reminiscent of the Mishnah in the beginning of Sanhedrin. Agzelis Chabolos. And he's learning that the Mishnah and Sanhedrin say that that Chabolos require mumchin. And he's saying not only that's the pshat in the Mishnah, Chabolos require mumchin, but the Ram is saying the pshat is because they fit into a category called knossos. All of them, at least as far as mumchin and smuchim. And that's what we're saying, that as far as mumchin and smuchim, you call all the 5 types of tashlumin in Chabola knas, but legabe moide beknas, it's only sar and nezik. And sheves, glipu in boishes, amamin. Look at the Rambam in Perek Hey of Hilchos Chovel Mazik Halacha Zayin, and the Minchas Chinuch in Mitzvah Memtes. Now, 2 questions, and this is just a review of what we were speaking about last time. 2 questions. We're a little bit confused, and the Rambam talks here a lot about knas in Tashlumi Chabolos. Even though the Etzem Mishnah mitzvah, the knas, and how you pay the knas, and why, and what, l'cheira, is not anything more than the Prate Mitzvas. And the whole idea of knas is also shaykh in Tashlumi Geneva and more. So you could say that it's not a prat in the mitzvah Chabola that you acquire mumchin, but maybe it's a dine bezdin. And if this is maybe concluded with Sanhedrin, Minchas Chinuch, see Reish Mitzvah Tov Tzadi Aleph. But the Ram clearly is not like that, and that the issue of knas and mumchin is because of this mitzvah, the din of part of the din of chovel b'chaveiroi is that you require mumchin, smuchin. We're going to see later on, and I read it to you fast before, that the Rambam includes in this mitzvah, we'll see exactly what's included. Gam, not only Odom HaChovel b'chaveiroi, but Odom HaChovel b'behema, u'behema HaChovel HaChovelis ba'odom. And maybe, possibly, depending upon the nusach we'll see, maybe also behema chovelis bebehema acheres. You see also in Sefer Chinuch in Mitzvah Memtes. So the conclusion from this is whatever it means is that all nezakin are only nidun el beret Yisrael. Even though, and they don't have any relationship to this mitzvah. And why he talks about tashlumim, which are somewhat like Chabola, and not tashlumim geneva or other things, it's very strange. What does Ram want? Next. Next. The Rambam here, he says, "V'chiyurivu," and he says, "Hichitivonu bedin chover b'chaveru." It's the din. It's the shrana. V'omo yisale v'chiyu v'nanoshim v'hiko ish esre'eu v'goymer or v'chule. This v'goymer v'chule, it's a reference to tell you that we're really interested here in the whole parsha. V'chirivu nanoshim v'hiko ish esre'eu be'even or be'egloif, whether it's another object or it's with plain brute force of fists. V'lo yomus v'nofel l'mishkov im yokum v'sashkel b'chutz al mishantei v'nika hamake rak shifto yitain v'rapo yirape sheves and ripui. So it's the whole parsha. And this, the truth is, in the Kisvei Yad, we don't find the goymer. But that's probably what even Tibet had in mind when he added the goymer, because we really mean the whole parsha. Okay, we'll see. Let's pick that up later. Okay, now. Okay. Now, let's go over here now. Let's read it again. Ukvar bo hakosu shehu kol dine knosus kulon v'om yisale kashe osa ken yose loy goitzum bezer sheyilkach mimemoinoi tmuras ma shetziaroi. It's a tmura. It's instead of, in place of, ma shetziroi l'fi shir shetziro lechaveroi. That's even Tibin. In Kapach, ma shepogeya boy kidei ma shepoga bechaveroi. According to Kapach, we're referring to Nezek and Sam. According to Ibn Tibin, we're referring only to Sam. And you have to, then you have to ask yourself, where is Nezek? You see, you could have said, and maybe that's the pshat, they learn our Nezek from another parsha in Mishpatim, in Chaf Aleph, Perek Chaf Aleph, what's it, Chaf Beis to Chaf Hey, V'chinotzu anoshim, v'nogfu isha horo, v'yotzu yolodeho, v'lo yiyeh ason, v'no sheyeh onesh, kasher yoshis olov, balo isha, v'nosam b'flilim, v'im oson yiyeh, v'nosat nefesh tachas nefesh, ayin tachas ayin, shein tachas shein, yod tachas yod, regel tachas rogel, kviyah tachas kviyah, petza tachas petza, potza, chabur tachas chabur. And the Rambam Milchus Chovel Umazik Perik Aleph Halacha Beis, Nezik Ketzad, She'im Kota Yad Chaveiroi, O Ragloi, Loinoi Sekilu Eved B'chulei, V'kamu Yofa B'chulei Mishalem, Shenemar Ayin Tachas Ayin, Mipia Shmua, and this Ayin, Tachas Ayin, is in this parsha in Mishpatim. B'Hishwolamdu, Shenemar, says there Shenemar, Tachas L'Shalem Momoin Hu. And Salam Boishes is explaining the Ram later, and that's on a different parsha. That's in Parshas Vayikra Chav Daled Yutes Kasher also Ken Yosalot. So then what you can do is not the way I said before that I'm putting according to Kapach you can put Nezik later, but according to Ibn Tibbon the V'goymer goes even further and includes the other parsha, the parsha of Nokli Shahara, that is the third talking about Nezik. Now, he adds a very important line here, which we don't know what it means. Kamo shebo'o, he says, mashet siroi, lefi mashet siro lechaveiroi, kamo shebo'o bo hakabola. There's something about a Kabbalah here, which the Tashlumei Tsar are based on a Kabbalah. That's what he's saying. And this, the Rambam explains in Hilchos Chovel Umazik, Perek Aleph Halacha Beis, A and Vav. Nezek Ketzad, She'im Kota Yad Chaveiroi, Oy Ragloi, Loi Noi Sekilu Eved B'Shuk, Nimko Shimko B'Shuk, Kamo Yofa V'Kamo Yofa Ato. ומשלם הפחס שהפרס מדומו. שנאמר עין תחס עין, מהפי השמואל למדו, שזה שנאמר, זה שנאמר תחס, לשלם ממון הוא, ומנין, ומנין, וכולי. ומנין שזה שנאמר בעבורים, עין תחס עין, וכולי תשלומן הוא. That's what it comes to conclusion, שנאמר חבור תחס רבור. ובפרש נאמר וחיה כאיש עשראי ובאבן ובאגרף, וגוימר, רק שבטו ייתן ורפו ירפא. פה למדתו שתחס, שנאמר בחבור, תשלומן, והוא הדין לתחס הנאמר בעין ובשאר איבורים, אף על פי שדבורים אלו נראים מעניין תורה שבכתב, כולן, even though you can get this impression from Torah שבכתב, כולן מפורשים הן מפי משה מהר סיני, וכולן הלכה למעשה הן בידינו, וכזה ראו אבותינו, דונין בבית דינוי של יהושע. They saw, אבותינו saw, this is the way בית דין של יהושע was done. ובבית דינו של שמואל הרמוסי, ובכל בית דין ובית דין שעומדו ממויס משה רבינו עד עכשיו. So that's the Kabbalah. The Tashlumi Kabbalah is Tashlumin, not something else. So it's very odd, all this what's happening. Is the Rambam really Tashlume Nezek, we understand, is Sheva Tachas Sheva, Ayin Tachas Ayin, Shein Tachas Shein, Kasher Yitain Mum Ba'odom, Keyin Osim Boy. So that's Nezek. But Tashlume Tzau Boishes are only almost like a remes. Kasher Osa Kain Ye Osa Lo. That's what we told before. It's not mufurish that we're talking about Tzau and Boishes, but the Ram seems to be talking about it here. The makor, the source of the chiyuv is in the pasha, in other parshas, in Parsha Kiseitze, in Sar mi Pashas Oines, u'Boishes mi Veshilcho Yodo mi Babusho. As the Rambam quotes it in Hilchos Chovel U'Mazik, Perek Aleph Halacha Zayin B'Tes, U'minayin she'amazik b'chaveiroi chayiv b'nezik mipnei b'fnei atzmo sha'inema ba'oines tachas ha'she'ino. That tzar v'uadin l'chol ha'metzayer es chaveiroi b'gufoi shu chayiv l'shalom d'mei tzar v'chulei u'minayin shu chayiv b'boishes b'fnei atzmo שהרינמו ושילחו יודו בהזיקם בבושו וקצויס אסקפו. בכלל דין קנס, בכלל דין זה קנס המבייש. Now, this sounds very simple. I'm going to just throw in a question for you to contemplate. But keep in mind, all these quotes are in the Mishnah Torah. In Sefer HaMitzvos, he basically says, Sar and Boishes is Mkashe is Kashe also Kain Yosaloi. Now, I'm not being Kaveh Masmoris, I'm just telling you your idea. And really, this is not for us now, but you should be aware of it. There is a mitzvah, and it's towards the end of Midian Mitzvah. It's Reish Mem Zayin. Okay. There's a mitzvah of Leidev. And the pasuk the Ram quotes for the mitzvah of Leidev is this pasuk. They've shilcha bavusha gzira bavusha v'katzois is kapo loisochas einech. So one of the issues that this is not really for now. Can you actually, or how you learn actually like two disparate things from the same pasuk? You make a separate mitzvah. It says kapo. Shlumin is this is not really our issue because the Rambam maybe is trying to be very careful over here and not getting involved since he's using the Katzois Kappa as a mitzvah Leidev. He doesn't mention Katzois Kappa at all. And you get the impression that Boishes is learned out from Kasher. Kasher also, Ken Yoselot. But this is really not our issue. It's just to get you oriented for some time in the future. Okay, next. V'da shedine knosis elu kulam kloima niske adam b'chein k'shezika behema es adam o that's a question of adam es behema hine lo yeduru behem v'yiknesu zulas bezdin hasmuchin be'eretz or be'eretz Yisrael. Now, just want to show you the various geses over here. So it says, "V'chein k'shezika behema es." See there, you can read it. V'chein k'shezika behema es ha'adam. Es ha'adam. Oh, es ha'behema. K'shem k'shezika behema es ha'adam. Oh, es ha'behema. Or and then Adam, which is Mazik Behema, is not mentioned at all in all the Kisveyad. In Ibn Tibin, it says Kishizika Behema es Adam, or Adam es Behema. And that you also find in Ibn Iyai. So it's a little confusing whether we're including over here Adam es Behema. And what about behemoth and behemoth, depending upon the various gisos? According to the nusach of Ibn Tibin and Ibn Iyoi, behema hamazek is odom, v'odom mazik is behema abucha knas, and you require gimel smuchim, and he doesn't talk about behema mazek is behema. In Ksaviyat Kapach, v'chein k'shezika behema es odom, o es behema. That the behema mazekis odom or behema acheres is also b'chal knas, and he doesn't speak about odom mazik behema. So we can be choike v'deish about the various nuschos, but both of the nuschos are against the Ram Mishnah Torah. That the Ram says, behema shizik es adam, loy boy smuchim, doesn't require smuchim. And the reason we're not done b'chutz la'aretz is because they're not motzui, and not mishum that you require smuchim. And adam hamazik is behema, according to Ibn Tibin and Ibn Iyoi, requires smuchim, and it's against Hilchos Sanhedrin Perek Hey Halacha Yud Aleph shegoyim b'chutz la'aretz. So this is like the Ram God. You don't know. You see, the problem is one reason you have no clue why the Ram starts talking about this over here, and all he does is creates problems for himself because he's committing himself that you require midiraisa smuchim, and you can't be done in chutz la'aretz because you're missing smuchim. The Ram Sanhedrin, look at it in Perikei Halacha Tes. It's a different reason. It's not because of smuchim. Behema tam hamazekis behema bekeren is a knas. Alganiska knasa. So okay. The Rambam Pirush Mishnah Sanhedrin Perek Aleph Mishnah Aleph says nezik v'chatzi nezik michlal chabolos. And l'chayra, that's what he's doing over here. That chabolos are not only Adam, but nezik v'chatzi nezik. Once it's chatzi nezik, the question is how far does it go? And so this is also like the Ram Pirush Mishnah is like kapach over here, that behema mazik behema is no dan and elu smuchim. Okay, next. Oh, I'd like to just make a point, and I'm not going to talk about it. I'm just going to mention the problem. And this should be a separate shiur at some point. And it's not really over here necessarily, because we're certainly not talking about this now. But I just want to whet your appetite. We have to think about it. The Rambam counts Eilchin as 4 mitzvahs. And the Rambam also counts all sugi mazik as 5 mitzvahs. Mitzvah zo, mitzvah reish lamed zayin, reish lamed ches, reish mem, and reish mem aleph. One thing we're going to have to know is why is it? So the whole point is that when there are when the mitzvah is only dinim, like Eilchin or over here, if the dinim are different, then you might count different mitzvahs. So then you have to ask yourself, so if I say, so why? So therefore, the Sheh and Rega, which have the same dinim, on one mitzvah, Keren has different dinim. Is another mitzvah, Eish and Ba, which have different dinim, and other mitzvahs. So the problem becomes, and this I don't want to talk about this now, is why is it that Odom Amazik, see, he doesn't, Odom Amazik Behema, is that part of the Mitzvah Chabola? And if so, Odom Amazik Behema and Odom Amazik Odom is different. Similarly, I think I should just stop here. I'm just whetting your appetite. Mitzvah will talk about this more about Riches. at some time. But the question is, how do you go about defining mitzvahs and what are the categories? And the Ram says that it's one Indian, but the question is Adam Mazik Behema or Adam Mazik Adam, is it really one Indian? And why is it really one mitzvah? That's really the question. Now, Zulas, at the end of this, it says, he says, Hine lo yodunu behen v'yiknesu, yodunu behen v'yiknesu. What does that mean? That's Ibn Tibin, and even in Kapach, it writes, Lo yodunu v'yifsai. And Ibn Iyov, he leaves the whole thing out. It says Lo yodunu b'hem. I'm not sure the Lo yodunu v'yiknesu. Okay. This here also there's another word over here that's Zulas Bezdin Hasmuchim Ba'aretz. And then in Ibn Tibin has Yisrael. But the word Yisrael is not in Ksavia. I'm not sure if there's a meaning, any difference. We're talking about Eretz, is Eretz Yisrael anyway. So I'm not sure if there's any import of any of this issue. L'chayr Bezin Hasmuchim Ba'aretz means that the smicha has to be in Eretz Yisrael. As the Ram says in Hilchos Sanhedrin, Perek Dalet Alocha Dalet. Ein koli Elokim Ela Bezdin Shenismach B'Eretz Yisrael Bulvad. Bahema Anoshim Achachomim Hui Lodun Shebotko Isam Bezdin Shel Eretz Yisrael Uminu Isam V'Samchu Isam. Okay, say it. Now we'll finish this. That was the mitzvah's chabot. Now, the mitzvah Reish Lamed Zayin is the mitzvah of Shetzivonu Lodun B'Din Ashor. And this is a shrano. Shetzivonu Shrano Lodun B'Din Ashor. V'amu Yisrael v'chiyigach shor v'goymer v'chiyigov shor ish es shor ish es shor re'eu. Here is very, very important to look at the psukim because the Ram is quoting two different things. There's a pasuk chiyigach shor, which is in Shmos Chaf Aleph Chaf Ches, and then chiyigov shor ish es shor re'eu is in Perek Chaf Aleph, Pasuk Lamed Hey. He's putting two different psukim together and creating a mitzvah. So here again, the question is, how can he put it together? They're different dinim, or we'll have to see. That is part of that other essay, which, this other discussion, okay? But he's putting these two things together as one mitzvah. And l'chayr, there's no kiyum as a shrano. Now, I just want to tell you that when you talk about a shrano, you say all the dinim of shor, amazik, keren, whether it's mazik odom, mazik behema, mazik this, is all one din. The whole concept of shrana as being all one din is only in terms of mitzvahs aseh, because the shrana is, as we pointed out, an assumed aseh to do something. But Lu Yitzur, if you find in the parsha of a shrana, you find the lav, you don't sweep the lav under the carpet and say it's part of the shrana, but every lav is a separate lav minyan mitzvahs, even though many different dinim in the shrana might be all one mitzvah. And that we'll have to see, because in the parsha, let's read it. But just one second here. For example, there's a lav of layocheles b'soroi in Sha'anisko, and that's certainly a separate lav in minyan mitzvahs. This is not an isolated phenomenon over here, but you found it in your fast Torah, that the law of even though all the dinim of your fast Torah are all one big shrano, but the lavim which was said in your fast Torah are counted separately in minyan alavim. So this is not only over here, but you find it also in your fast Torah. And that's mistaber. The shrana is mitzvah aseh, and lavim are counted separately. Okay, next. The mitzvah is, as we said before, kiyigach and kiyigoy are two separate parashas, and the mitzvah is both of them. Both of these parashas. Let me read the parasha. The one parasha is Shor Nisko, v'chiyigach, Shor es ish, o es isha, umeis sokol yisokel hashor, v'lo ye'ochel es b'soroi, ubal hashor noki, v'im shor nagachu mitmol shel shor, v'hu bebola v'lo yishmerenu, Behemis isho asho yisokel v'gam bol of yumos, bol of yumos, the tashlumin, and the skill. It's all included here. Bim koif yushalov nosem pigyan nafshay. The chol asher yushalov is also part of this mitzvah of the koif, but the lav is separate. O ben yigach o bas yigach kamish parazeh yaselo. Im Eved, and there's another thing, Eved Yigach, Ashor, Oy Omo, Keser Shloishim Shkolim, Yite Ladoino, Ashor Yisaka. All the I say, what you're supposed to do, the dinim, is all one mitzvah. But the lavim account is separate. That's Shmois Chafalef, Chavches Talamagim. Then the other parasha, Ki Yigoy, is a parasha of Keren, Tam, and Muad, which is Mazik Mamon. In Pasuk Lamed Hey, and lamed vav and chaf aleph. V'chiyigoy shor ish es shor re'eu umeis umochrei es ashor achai v'chotzo es kasboy v'gam es ameis yechetzu o noide ki shor nagochu mitmol shel shoim bo yishmerenu bolo shal mishalem shor tachas shor v'ameis yelo. And all this is one big shana, but the din of shor. Shor shenoch bodom, and shor shenoch b'behem. Tam and muad. So this also is the same question that there are here. It's worse. There are two parshas and the two separate dinim: the shor hamazik odom and the shor hamazik behema. And if they're separate dinim, they should be separate mitzvahs, as the Ram said in Erech and Kuf Yud Zayin. In Mitzvah say Kuf Yud Zayin, she parshas shoynis im dinim shoynim are separate mitzvahs. So one could think, and you have to think about this, if maybe even if the dinim are different, but the perpetrator is the same, you have to understand why it's so. That the Odom HaMazik Behema, the Odom HaChovel B'Chaveiro, and the Odom HaChovel Behema is the same perpetrator, but different dinim, whatever. And similarly over here, the shor is Mazik and Odom, and the shor Mazik Behema, it's the same perpetrator. And the Gicha, if that makes a difference, maybe, but that's an amazing thing, why that should be. Rav Sadi Goin, in his Minyan HaMitzvos, is moine this as two: the shor hanoigev and the shor sheyigach, the shor that's mazik odom, and the shor that's mazik behem. Rav Sadi Goin, in Sefer Rav Sadi Goin, Perek Yud Zayin, page 147. V'im hoyisa chilas nigichosoi harei she'im horag bal chaim niknas ba'olov b'machzis hashavui ki oimoy ki yigoy shor ish ashor re'eu v'im horag odom hashor neherag u'bolem yis yipoto ki oimoy v'chi yigach shor ish shor es ish. And if you look over there, it's very clear in the whole Seder that he's counting as two separate mitzvahs. In Minyan Mitzvah Kotzer, the Ram only quotes one of these two psukim, but I don't think it makes a difference. Lodun b'shor hamazik shen bnizkei behema shenema ki yigoy ish es shor re'eu. Okay, Mitzvah Shem will pick up next week.